Women are rising. They are building businesses, writing books, starting nonprofit organizations, and impacting this world like never before. What happens when these women share their stories about success? Well, you're about to find out. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rising Stories Podcast. I'm Corrine Sandifer, your host. And on Rising Stories, we feature women who are changing their world. We interview authors, influencers, speakers, and business owners, and we talk about best business practices. We also talk about productivity tips and what we are reading, and sometimes our favorite apps. Today, we are continuing our new series featuring the women of Belmont University. Belmont University is a private liberal arts university in Nashville, Tennessee, and is home to the only international accredited music business program in the world. Continuing our Women of Belmont series, I am talking with Nancy Youssef, owner of Curves with Purpose, an e-commerce fashion marketplace known for its dedication to plus-sized women. This diverse platform utilizes sophisticated digital measurement tools to help women navigate through sizing across brands. She is fluent in 5 languages and is also an adjunct professor at Belmont University here in Nashville. I can't wait for you to hear our conversation about sizes, women, and about her journey. But before we get started, I want to let you know how you can support this show. If you hear about a book or product on the show, please use the links provided in the show notes to make your purchase. Amazon will give us a portion of every item you purchase with our links. You can also find more great stuff on our Amazon store, which is amazon.com/shop/Corrine Sandifer. There you will find all of my fun and favorite picks. Also, if you would, please take a few moments to subscribe to the podcast and tell your friends about the show. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Catch my Sunday night productivity tips on Instagram each week as we prepare for an awesome week by doing a few things that will keep us focused and on track. So here is my conversation with Nancy. Hi, Nancy. Welcome to Rising Stories.
Hi, Corrine. How are you?
Good. You are in London. Is that where you are?
I am. I'm in London.
And tell
me, arrived today.
Yeah. So you own a company, but tell me why you're in London and why that's the place to be right now.
Yeah, so we were invited to participate in the UK's largest gathering of plus-size women. So it's called UK Curve Fashion Festival. And we were invited because I started a company about a year ago that caters to women sizes medium to 5X. And so we've launched really an online concept, but we do a ton of pop-up shops and travel throughout the United States. But we happen to have this great opportunity to come over to the UK and participate in this event. So it'll be our first time overseas.
And are you doing a fashion show there?
We are. We've got actually 3 fashion shows and a full day of open to the public, so for commercial selling as well. So people will be there to see the fashion shows. Trade and consumers will be there, so we'll see, people within the industry as well as consumers coming in to see our product.
And is it a market time where they can say, hey, I want, X amount of this brand or this?
Yes.
Nice.
So it's both. So we're really excited about that opportunity. It'll be the first time we're physically in the UK. We've had purchases online through the UK, but we've never physically been here. So excited about that.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've been looking at your fashion and your clothing line, and how do you describe it? It's so cute. It's a little like kind of edgy, different, but how do you describe it?
So I really call it the Anthropology for plus size.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're familiar with the brand Anthropology, it's sort of an eclectic curation of various brands. And so that's really the concept that we've started with. Is it's a curated assortment of global brands. So we sort of pick and choose the aesthetic that's a little bit fashion, but not so forward that it's not wearable every day. So it's every piece has a great twist to it, has a great little detail or fringe or, a print or something that's really unique to it, but it's easy enough to wear on an everyday basis. So you could wear it in the morning, day, night, whatever it is, but it has a little special touch to it that people notice. And so it's about getting a little bit of notice, but still being sort of classical.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that this is available now. I mean, it used to be years ago that Lane Bryant was the only place to shop for any sizes above, I would say maybe like 16.
Absolutely.
And they were so like, not to dog Lane Bryant. I was happy that they were there. I mean, I'm not a plus size, but I was happy for my girlfriends who were able to shop there. But at the same time, it didn't look like the main trending things that were happening. It was like its own style. And now it's getting to where it's everywhere. And I love that you are providing this for people who want that little personality, to come out and in clothing and just some of the trends, like you said, if you are a person who would like to shop at Anthropology, this is, and you're looking for a plus size, this is the place to be, the place to shop.
Yeah, you're so right on. It's interesting. So, this started for me because about 20 years ago, and yes, I'm going to date myself, but I had what I call an early life crisis. So I was an accountant previously and went into, an investment firm. But I went to fashion design school, and that design program was in Milan in Italy. And my project at the time, because of my background, so my family is Egyptian, most friends and family were definitely on the plus size range. And at that time, now granted, that was 20 years ago, but you were exactly right. There was Lane Bryant. And I remember, clearly going into Lane Bryant with my mom and, always looking around and kind of being like, ugh. Yeah. And I would say, they've come around a million times over. They look phenomenal today. But, back then, that was the only alternative. And it wasn't phenomenal. And it wasn't just them. There were a couple other sort of more localized brands, but my project back then was a women's plus size line. And the reason that I was inspired to do it was because there was nothing there. It was so unfortunate to see, this totally underserved community of women who, by the way, are the majority of women.
Exactly.
We're not talking about something unusual or, if we talk about niche areas like petite or tall, right? We're talking about the average woman in the United States. 70% of us are size 14 and over. And so fast forward, I went through a corporate career and all this great stuff. But, I sort of woke up one day and thought, well, I really want to do something on my own. What would I do? And I had forgotten about this project that I'd done in design school. And I pulled it out and I pulled out my samples and everything. And I got so excited because I realized, for good and for bad, that it was still relevant. The market was still underserved. And there was a huge opportunity to bring really just great quality clothing that fit, right? So we have a huge emphasis on sizing and making sure that we have a digital measurement tool online so that when you go on, you can, manually enter your measurements and it'll pull in the background what size you should be within every style that we have. Because even within the same brand, whether you shop at, Gap or Old Navy or whatever it is, even within the same company, the sizes fluctuate. And so it's really hard to find your fit. And when you're already limited in the product that you could buy anyway, then you have to go through the exercise of, well, what is my size? Am I a 12, a 14, 18, 20, and that exercise is not fun and doesn't feel good. And so we've tried to make it as seamless of an experience as it can be and as, easy for you to navigate and for you to find things that you can wear at any given point.
Yeah. They're very versatile. Like you can dress it up, dress it down, with jeans. There's a lot of really good pieces that you have. And I love I love that it is, its own kind of style.
Yeah. We've been really intentional about not being sort of run-of-the-mill basic product because, you can get your basic product, and that's not what we were intending to do. We were really looking for something that was a little more elevated, something that was a little more unique, and something that really just made people feel great. I mean, for me, people always ask, what is the best thing when you encounter a consumer, when you're talking to someone? And always the number one answer, as kitschy as it sounds, is truly the smile on someone's face, or even as far as the tear in someone's eye when they say, I have not been able to wear clothes that fit me in years, or I've never been able to put on a pair of jeans, or I've never found the styling that I've wanted. I've always had to buy, just some sort of like square t-shirt and not something that fits or looks cute, Yeah.
So
it's humbling.
I bet. Do you have a good following? Do you have a good amount of people that are realizing that this is a good place to shop and like return business type?
We do. And, what's been really amazing to watch is the women that come in, they recognize that we're sincere about what we're doing. And, for us, our ethos is that we're giving back. We're giving back to this underserved community, but we're also giving back in a charitable format. So, most of our sales, we give either 10% of the sales back to a local charity, or if we're doing a pop-up event, for example, we did one around back to school. So we collected school supplies and we were able to redonate that back. And so that's really fundamental to us, and we mean what we say, to the extent that our return policy is quite liberal. We understand that people fluctuate. I don't care what size you are. Everybody fluctuates at some point or another. Or, things may not work out at the end. And so we have an open policy of bringing things back. And to that extent, what has happened is people feel great about the clothes that they're buying. And we haven't seen a huge return rate. We've had, maybe 2 pieces returned in a year. And customers are really loyal, and they have gone out and shared the stories with their friends. And, one of the things that we do on our socials especially is we talk about the journeys of our followers. So, we'll constantly talk about and brag on what people have accomplished and the communities that we've built around us of these women as a support. So I really look at the business more of building a community first and then retailing second.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I would love to hear we kind of talked a little bit about it, but I'd love to hear how your thought process from you were in corporate America working for a Nashville company, and what was the catalyst? Like, what happened? Why did you decide, I'm just going to go for it and do this?
It was, I think as most things are, they sort of start as a fleeting thought and then, build up over time. And I think several years ago, so I've been very, very fortunate. People say to me, well, you must have left your corporate job because you hated it. The truth is I didn't. If you had asked me as a child what my dream job was, I would have told you it was exactly what I was doing in my corporate world. So it was, I was lucky enough to run the international division of a huge publicly traded company. I traveled the world. I got to meet a ton of brands. I really got to be exposed to the retail world in and out and every aspect of it. So it was amazing and phenomenal. But I think at a certain point, you sort of start to, life happens, right? You sort of, decades go on, and at some point you start to reevaluate, okay, yes, this is a phenomenal job. Yes, I'm traveling everywhere. It's great. It's tiring as well. And, you sort of start to prioritize in your world what is most important to you. And I think for me, at one point, I just started realizing that what was most important for me, and don't get me wrong, it's not like the business I've created is curing anything, but I wanted to serve people. I wanted to serve in a bigger way and help in a community that doesn't otherwise have many options. And so I wanted to see change in that community. And it was a community that was important to me because of my own family. And so the catalyst was really, as sort of time went on, and I spent almost 10 years on the international side of retail between Genesco and a company called DXL, a men's big and tall retailer. I just started thinking, I feel like I can give more of myself and more on a sort of community level as opposed to this big corporate level. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to go out and see if I could try to do that. And so here we are. We've just passed a year, so I guess we're doing it.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. What is the best business advice you ever got?
I think probably one of the greatest quotes that someone said to me was, do things out of motivation and not desperation. Mm. And I didn't really understand that until, in the corporate world, you've got a lot of cushions around you. Mm-hmm. When you're on your own and you're independent, man, the highs are really high and the lows are really low. But when you have moments where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure if we're going to get to tomorrow, and that's where you tend to react instead of being really active and getting ahead of things. I think that's when I started understanding what that phrase meant. Don't be desperate. Do things thoughtfully and follow through and just keep chugging through as hard as it may be, and lean on your network for sure.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Doing things just, because you're wanting to do it and not just like, oh, I've got to do something differently that's totally good. Yeah. Love that. So tell me a day in the life of Nancy. What are some of the things that you are doing throughout your day? And I know travel is different, but if you're back in the office in Nashville, what does that look like for you?
Sure. So early morning. So we're early risers in my house, and I am married with 2 boys and a dog and a cat. And so, early morning is really my husband and I's time. So we both wake up super early. So at least a good hour before the kids wake up, which is really nice. So we have that time. That's our communication time. Mm-hmm. And then, if I don't have early morning meetings, I try to be the one who takes the kids to school or is, preparing things. Because I do get a lot of evening events and things like that. So I'm not always there as soon as they get back. And then there's always a morning exercise routine, or I should say always. Maybe there hasn't been one in a couple months, but I try to have one.
Yeah. It's in the schedule. Yeah, it's on the schedule.
It's scheduled in. Yes, it's not always there, but it is scheduled in. So I practice yoga, and I've been doing CrossFit with my husband for a couple of years now. So that's in our routine, and then I get to work. And work for me is a combination of a ton of phone calls, emails, and meetings. And because I'm an entrepreneur in a startup, I'm really networking all the time, and networking for many, many reasons, whether it's, other women that I can look at and say, okay, you feel the pains that I'm going through, and let's talk about what you're going through, or networking in the sense of we've got to raise funds, or we've got to find the next opportunity of where we may be. So that's sort of a typical day. I'm also quite involved in the city of Nashville. So quite regularly we have, chamber meetings or mayor's advisory council meetings, or Sister Cities of Nashville is another organization I'm involved with. I'm also involved with one that's really near and dear to me, is Souls for Souls, which is a nonprofit that collects shoes and apparel for people in need. So that takes up a good amount of our time. And then we sort of wind down the day with kind of having a little bit of a reflection on what the day look like and what's up next. And then the evening routines are usually there's some sort of event or meeting or conference call, tucking the kids into dinner, tucking the kids into bed, and then probably getting back on my phone to see what I missed.
Yeah. To check in again. Yeah.
Which is not a good habit, by the way.
No, but yeah, but it's the time that we have, right? And so, yes. Yeah. Are you watching anything on Netflix or?
I just started watching. Now I had been off Netflix for a long time, or Hulu or whatever, because I just wasn't finding the time. But I recently picked up New Amsterdam. Have you seen or heard about that? It's a medical doctor, this doctor who's New Amsterdam is this hospital in New York. It's a cool show. It's fast paced. For me, TV or even books are to get my mind in a totally fantasy place as opposed to my real day.
Working. Yeah. Yeah.
So, as my husband likes to laugh at me, I'm a huge rom-com person. Like, if I could, I started watching Christmas shows, 2 months ago. I didn't, but I would have.
I think they started really early this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I keep going, look at all these commercials. People are already starting. He's like, okay. Yeah. So that's my way of sort of, stepping outside of my reality.
Yeah. Yeah. In business, as a businesswoman and entrepreneur, what is your best productivity hack or tip? What is it that you do that you're and you may not even realize it, but what do you do that makes your day go faster, better, work better, easier?
I'm a list person, and I need to, and I'm a morning person. So if I don't check off everything that's on my list and accomplish them in the morning, I know I'm done for the day. I get to about 2 or 3 in the afternoon and I'm quite useless in terms of brain function. Like, my best moments are definitely morning and during the day. So I need to sort of get everything done. I'm also the type that maybe has somewhat of a habit of, if I leave something and I don't get to it as soon as it arrives to me, it could linger on for months.
Yeah.
So I have to get things done quite quickly, not just let them linger. And I found that that's really the best way for me to work.
Yeah, to make a list. And do you just carry it over to the next day if it's not done?
Sadly, yes.
Yeah. I mean, but what's crazy is, we're making these long lists and, it can't possibly all get done in a day. No. I mean, it's almost like sometimes I look at my list and I go, wow, that was wishful thinking.
Yes.
That was a lot to put on that one day.
That's exactly.
You only have so many hours, Corrine, but yet, and so I've started calling it, at night, I just call it my brain dump, and I just throw everything on there that didn't get done. I'm like, okay, this is important. I've got to, I'm just going to put it on this piece of paper and it's going to sit on my nightstand, and I'll it's a notepad, and I'll just rip it off and take that paper with me in the morning and, add it to the rest of my list. I'm a list maker as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, oh, that was pretty, that was a big, long list.
Oh yeah. Sometimes I'm quite ambitious, and probably not a good idea with my list.
Yeah. So what's next for Curves with Purpose? What are y'all doing? Of course, this is a big thing that you're in London, but when you get back, what's the next big thing that's happening?
We've got a couple things. I'd mentioned we're predominantly online, but we also do a ton of pop-up shops. So we've got one right before the holidays from December 10th to the 23rd at the Cool Springs Mall, so a local one. But forward-looking, we're looking at, we're really preparing for spring, summer next year at this point. And we have a couple awesome opportunities and it's not signed yet, but with one major department store to create a Curves with Purpose space within their department store. So we're finalizing details on that, as well as a big online retailer to create a Curves with Purpose page within their site too. So we've got some really exciting things brewing on that side in terms of the retailing and how we go forward. And then we have a couple awesome partnerships that are in the works for co-branded product with some big brands. So we're super excited about it.
Yeah. And so you're not a solopreneur. You have a team.
Team of one.
Oh, team of one. Okay.
Yes. We have.
So you are a solopreneur.
I have one.
You've got one assistant.
Yes. One person who works with me, and she is, her role when she came on was to be really everything social and digital. Mm-hmm. Her role today is everything.
Okay. So, yeah.
We are a team of two.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
But we have a ton of freelancers and supporters that have really carried us over the last year. Honestly, I laugh and say there's two of us that are on a sort of full-time basis. Mm-hmm. One of us paid, one of us unpaid. I'm the unpaid, just to be clear. But the team of freelancers and women that have really rallied around us, and men for that matter, I should not exclude the men, has been tremendous. And I mean, it does take a village, and it couldn't have grown or gotten to anywhere that we are without all those people. I mean, it's been incredible.
Yeah. It's important to definitely have the right people around you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people that are passionate about your vision, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you can have a ton of people around you, but if they don't truly care about what you're doing, it's not working.
Yeah. Yeah. What is your favorite app?
My favorite app. So when I'm on the clock, it's my Shopify app, which is the engine that my store is run on. So
yeah.
That one doesn't count probably. I think that, I don't know if I'd call it my favorite, but the one that we probably spend the most time is Amazon.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
our next app that we're on.
Yeah.
My kids, I don't think have been to a mall, since they were babies. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not a big. Excuse me, my family's not a big mall. We're not big mall people either. And anytime, anytime I need anything, it's so nice to get on there and just, I need a new dog leash, which I haven't purchased it yet, but I need a new, and it's like I can walk into Target or a pet store and it will be easily $50, $100 by the time I walk out just to get that one. Or I can just order on Amazon and it'll be here in 2 days.
That's right.
It saves me a trip. So it is a great tool and a great app. What are your 3 favorite things or what are some things that you've purchased on Amazon that you're loving?
Wow, that's a great question. We have recurring pet food. And I have to tell you, that's really huge for us, right?
Yeah.
So they have this, like, you can it keeps reordering for you, fulfilling every month, right? So it's very cool. We don't even think about it anymore. And it until for some reason there was a glitch and it didn't show up. And we're like, the dog, we haven't fed the dog. Where's the food? That one's good for a busy household.
Do they let you on Amazon? Do they let you post like when or tell them when you want it delivered? How often?
Yes. So you can update your frequency.
Okay.
So we initially had it, I think, like every 3 weeks or so, and it was too often. Okay. So we were able to extend it. I think, whatever you need it to be. Yes. So you can update your frequency, which is really nice. We're constantly purchasing, much to my dismay, gift cards for gaming.
Oh, yeah, because you've got 2 boys, so yeah,
2
gaming.
Boys. Yes, so gaming. But honestly, probably the most important thing I order on there, because I always leave it to last minute and forget. I have very curly hair, and there's a certain product that I use, and I just get it quickly through them. So that's probably the most important thing that comes to me.
Yeah. What is that product and what does it do? I don't have curly hair.
It's called Paul Mitchell Curls, and it really just helps sort of define the curls. and make it not so frizzy. Now, it's going to do whatever it wants depending on the weather. So, I'm optimistic about the product, but the hair is going to do whatever it wants anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it, and so it's not a shampoo per se, but it's just like a...
No, it's like one is, there are two products that I use. One is a leave-in type product, and the other is like a very light foamy mousse type product.
Oh, gotcha. And it just kind of holds it tames them and holds the curls, so it just kind of looks curly rather than frizzy.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't want frizz. Yeah. Yeah. So
those are my favorites at the moment. Not fun, just practical.
Practical things. Yep. And what are you what are you reading these days?
Well, two books at the same time, depending on my mood. One is this super cool historical sort of historical fiction on the building of the Panama Canal, but it's like the nitty gritty secrets that nobody told you about, like, the U.S. imported a bunch of women for the men that were there building the Panama. You're like crazy things that you're like, is this for real? And then you have to like Google and see.
What's the name of the book?
It's called The Building of the Panama Canal. And
wow.
It's really actually quite fascinating because it's this, sort of historical fiction type thing.
That no one knows what was going on behind the scenes.
You kind of go, oh wait, did that happen?
Oh, my
and then
word.
you have to Google it, right? so that one. And then I'm catching up on some, I like books like James Patterson. So I'm reading Private Paris right now, which is a couple years old, but I haven't been reading any of these like sort of mystery solving type books in a while. So
yeah,
that's the other one. I've had to take a break from all the business books because I think I've read every one in the last 6 months that I can possibly consume, the lean startups and lean in and, everything else. So I had to just take a minute to read something else.
Yeah. What's the one that stands out that you've read that was a good one?
Two of them. So Lean Startups was a really good one. And the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I thought that was really interesting. I like that. It's an oldie, but I think it's a good one. And then I'm really excited about this new, Michelle Obama's new book. So I'm looking forward to reading that.
Yes, that should be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear it's good. Well, thank you, Nancy, so much, and wishing you all the luck at London, the Fashion Festival. I'm so excited to hear how it goes for you, and I'll be posting some information on how they can go to your website and shop, because they're cute clothes. I love them. I think they are for everyone. I think that most women will fall in love with every outfit. It's just, they're all adorable.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It was such an honor to speak with you today.
I enjoyed talking with Nancy, and along with shopping online at Curves with Purpose, you can also find her clothing line at pop-up stores in Nashville. I'll have all the links in the show notes below. Thanks, Nancy, for sharing your story with us. Today's music is by Ben Sound, and our sponsors are Audible. You can get a free book by joining with the link provided in the show notes, and by Amazon. Thanks so much for listening, and keep rising in your story.